Good morning and welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting of Wednesday, 18 February 2026. In the spirit of open, accessible and transparent government, Berwick Shire Council's meetings are recorded. By speaking at a council meeting, members of the public agree to being recorded. Berwick Shire Council accepts no liability for any defamatory, discriminatory or offensive remarks or gestures that are made during the course of the council meeting. Opinions expressed or statements made by individuals are the opinions or statements of those individuals and do not imply any form of endorsement by Berwick Shire Council. Confidential matters of council will not be recorded. Recordings are protected by copyright and owned by Berwick Shire Council. No part may be copied, recorded, reproduced or transmitted without the prior written consent of the CEO. Any recording is not and shall not be taken to be an official record of Berwick Shire Council meetings or the discussion depicted therein. Only the official minutes may be relied upon as an official record of the meeting. A recording of the council meeting will be taken for administrative and minute preparation purposes only and is provided to the public for listening purposes to support council's statutory obligations. Berwick Shire Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the lands in which we live and thrive. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. The peoples of these great nations, their spirits and ancestors will always remain with our waterways and lands. We have no apologies or leaves of absence today. We do have an application for leave of absence for the March meeting from the Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I'll be away on maternity leave.
We have a mover for that. Councillor Natakawa, a seconder. Councillor Brooker, all in favour in accepting that. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
We have no one attending via audio-visual link today. I have confirmation of previous minutes. The recommendation is that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held in the chambers on the 21st of January 2026 be confirmed. Do we have a mover? Councillor Dennis, a seconder. Councillor Healy, all in favour? Thank you, carried. Do we have any disclosures of interest?
Yes, Mayor Julia, I have a pecuniary interest in 8.12.
Thank you, Councillor Healy. And you will step out for that matter?
Yes.
I've also got one as well.
Yep.
In 8.12, a pecuniary interest, the business for my primary place of residence. Note Code of Conduct has an exception of 4.36B.
Which permits you to remain for that item? Okay, thank you. Do we need further details on those interests? No. Excellent, thank you. Any other interests? No mayoral minutes and no reports of committees. Okay, so we are proposing a block, and I will read through the numbers and then I will go through each of the items should anyone have any questions. So the numbers are 8.1, 8.3, 8.5, 8.6, 8.7 and 8.8. Before I seek a mover, can I clarify that no councillors wish to debate or vote against those items? Thank you. Do we have a mover for that block? Councillor Natakawa, a seconder. Councillor Brooker. Before we put that to the vote, I will go through the titles so we're clear and give the opportunity for questions. 8.1 is correspondence from December 2025 to January 2026. 8.3 is the investment report for January 2026. 8.5 is the councillor requests for January 2026. 8.6 is actions from previous meetings. 8.7 is development determinations for December 2025 and 8.8 is the operational plan review for Q2 25-26. Okay. All in favour in resolving those matters as articulated and recommended in the papers? Thank you, carried. We'll now move to item 8.2. which is the quarterly budget review, December 2025. The recommendation is that council notes the quarterly budget review statement for the period ending 31 December 2025 and approves its lodgement with the New South Wales Office of Local Government in accordance with the prescribed reporting requirements. Notes the responsible accounting officer's declaration that, based on the quarterly review, council's overall financial position was satisfactory at 31 December 2025, and approves the budget variations proposed as part of the December 2025 quarterly budget review statement. Do we have a mover? Councillor Dennis, a seconder. Councillor Healy. Would our Director of Corporate Services like to speak to this item?
So no, I don't have anything further to say than what has already been provided. If anyone has any further questions, happy to answer.
Okay. Anyone have any further questions? Okay. All in favour of that recommendation? Thank you, carried. We'll move to item 8.4, which is the State Library Infrastructure Grant Update. And I would like to move an amendment to the proposed, to the recommendation, and that is that Council receive and note the report in relation to the State Library Infrastructure Grant and halts current work on the relocation of the existing Visitor Information Centre, and requests a report on the future options for location of the Visitor Information Centre to be presented at the March 2026 Council meeting. So I've moved that. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah.
Councillor Stringer. Yep.
Sorry? Yeah, I think you should put it up so we know exactly what we're voting on.
Hang on, I will quickly send that to Chan.
Yeah.
Send anyway. All right, so that's on its way. And I will speak in favour of that and then give others the opportunity. The issue of the location of the Visitor Information Centre is something that was considered by the previous council. It's something which I believe the community in Tokemore will have an interest in, and as a councillor, I would like to have a better understanding of the business case for the move. Would anyone like to speak against before I see if there's anyone who else would like to speak in favour? No? Councillor Dennis, you want to speak in favour?
I just want to make a note on the amendment.
Sure.
So we've got halt the current work and the relocation, and you've looked at the feasibility of why. Can I add, please, that also it may not need to be moved at all, that to have that as part of the study to see whether it actually needs to move.
Why
so
don't we-
you're looking at why it's moving, or you're putting in a case of why, of moving it or moving it to somewhere. I just want to add that.
You want it to be our decision?
Correct.
Yeah, so that can be, we can amend that point, requests a report for decision
Correct, thank you.
on the future options. That's in
We'd be good to
the,
get some feedback on that before, with the report as well as the community discussion representative. So thank you for that.
okay, sorry, no, what we're changing. No. At where it says halts current work on the relocation of the existing Visitor Information Centre and requests a report for decision. Yeah,
That's it, perfect.
that should cover that. And does the seconder accept that? Thank you. Anyone else on this matter? Okay, we'll put that to the vote. All in favour? Thank you, carried. All right, we're at 8.9. This is the Tocumwal Foreshore Recreation Reserve Crown Land Plan of Management. The recommendation is that Council receive and endorse the draft Tocumwal Foreshore Recreation Reserve Crown Land Plan of Management for consideration and adoption pursuant to Section 40 of the Local Government Act 1993 and in accordance with Section 3.23 subsection 6 of the Crown Land Management Act 2016. Endorse the draft Tocumwal Foreshore Recreation Reserve Crown Land Plan of Management on public exhibition. Delegate authority to the CEO to make any amendments to the draft plan of management as required by Crown Lands prior to exhibition, and place the plan on public exhibition for a minimum of 28 days with submissions invited for a minimum period of 42 days. Do we have a mover? Councillor Stringer, a seconder? Councillor Brooker? Did you want to say anything about this, Andrew? CEO? No? No? Okay. Councillor Dennis.
I just have a few questions. I just want to make sure that the Foreshore Recreation Reserve Crown Land Plan of Management overlaps the concept plan for Tocumwal and the future that has gone into the public for correspondence and for reply. I've noticed a couple of things, and I'll just do it in a
Can we just
block.
get that question first? Yep.
The two things are separate matters. So a plan of management basically is an agreement between us and the Crown that allows council to manage the land without seeking Crown's permission to do works on it. In relation to the plan that you're referencing, that's still adopted by council. By actually having the plan of management, we'd be allowed to do things ourselves without seeking permission.
That probably answers the following questions that I've got, which is about there was the access, the walk over the road, the change of the pathways, the boat ramp and the pontoon. The only other point I had is you've got listed there as non-users as motorbikes. Can you change that to a particular type of motorbike? Because it looks like it's a blanket for all motorbikes, maybe trail bikes. Is that what you're referring to?
Andrew, do you have an answer to that one?
It'd be all motorbikes because you can't prevent any form of classification as long as it's a registered motorbike. They can utilise those parks for that purpose.
Probably registered motorbike would be good to add in front of motorbikes then, as a user, not as a non-user. And on page 12, there's cultural significance. It was brought up in the last Coffee with a Councillor that there may be cultural significance at the end of Jersey Street. I'm not sure if that can be investigated further, where there was a camp there.
We'd have to come back to council to do a cultural heritage management plan. I am not pulling punches, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars because you have to engage somebody that's qualified. Then you have to obviously engage the registered Aboriginal party and go through a whole process for those to be. The land is already mapped as being culturally sensitive, and therefore if you do undertake any works, people have to do a cultural heritage management plan. But for us to evoke to do one now, we would have to come back to council for a significant budget.
The other question was spraying of the weeds and the mozzies. Is that meant to be in the plan as well? Or is that just maintenance?
That'd be just maintenance of us and the land.
Okay.
One
Another
more.
Yep.
On page 75, you've got, there's a proposed building to be added to the foreshore building. What does that mean?
So again, this is a what-if scenario, but the plan of management would allow council to actually now make application for any additional works on the land. That would have to still go through a development application process, but for us to make the application or for anybody to make the application, we don't need Crown's permission to make the application. the simple way of looking at a plan of management is, one, they should have been done about 10 years ago for all of our reserves, all of our halls, all of our pools, recreation spaces, but they basically just allow council to manage the land without going back to the Crown for permission each time.
Yeah. So that means that boat shows will be included as well, because it's not mentioned.
If somebody wanted to undertake a boat show, they would seek council's permission as they normally would, and council could grant that permission without seeking Crown's consent.
And I just have a question, because I actually don't know. What does active cemeteries mean?
This relates back to the cultural sensitivity. So for argument's sake, if there were works undertaken and something was discovered, it actually has to be identified as that in regards to leaving the remains and the like, and then identifying it. We have found a similar scenario within our shire about this previously.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I have a procedural question. Why is there a discrepancy between public exhibition for a minimum of 28 days and submissions for 42 days?
Yeah, it's just the period. The
some
same
reason
thing
they
happened
don't
for the Coda meeting practice. On public exhibition, and it just allows you that extra time for the submissions to come in.
But we'd stop exhibiting it for 2 weeks.
Sorry,
So you'd take it down after 2
take it down, but still leave it open for people to get their submissions in. The same thing happened with the Coda meeting practice.
Doesn't make much sense to me.
No.
But okay, that's all right. Just wondered. Okay, sorry.
If I may, there is a reason for it. It's archaic because it was based on mail.
Of
So when you
course.
gave notice, the additional days after was when you
Yeah.
get snail mail, you could still consider it after the notice had finished. Times have changed, the Act hasn't.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. That makes sense now. All right, all in favour in that resolution that's been proposed? Thank you, carried. We're up to 8.10, which is the Berrigan Shire Heritage Study 2025. The recommendation is that council adopt the Berrigan Shire Heritage Study 2025 and that the community, landowners, applicants and council utilise the study when considering or assessing any development application for heritage under the Berrigan Local Environmental Plan. Do we have a mover? Councillor Natikawa, a seconder? Councillor Payne? Any questions or comments? Councillor Natikawa?
So it refers there to the Berrigan Shire Heritage Study, but then in the appendices, it's all just Berrigan. So I just want to clarify that, is it for the Shire or is this one specifically for Berrigan and the other towns will be taken care of?
So it's a Berrigan Shire, so all 4 towns are represented within the study.
Okay. That was pretty much my main question, just there was that.
Yep.
Some of it said Berrigan Shire, some said just Berrigan, and I'm like, okay, hang on.
The
Okay.
purpose of the recommendation, for the purpose of the recommendation, it's clear about the Berrigan Shire Heritage
Yep.
Study as referenced on the document,
Yep.
but you're right in regards to through the report.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else want anything else to say on that? No? Okay, all in favour in that recommendation? Thank you, carried. We're up to item 8.11, which is the lease to be signed under seal. The recommendation is that council authorise its seal to be affixed to Part 91 to 97 Hennessy Street, Tocumwal, to Amplitel Proprietary Limited in the presence of 2 signatories authorised to affix the seal pursuant to Clause 400 of the Local Government General Regulation 2021. Do we have a mover? Councillor Hannan, a seconder. Councillor Dennis. Anyone got any questions or comments?
I do have a question. Just let me get this right. So in regards to the recommendation, sorry, I'm reading that differently, but just when it says about the, in point 1, it says about the rent subject to a 3% annual CPI increase. And I'm just curious for clarification, Is CPI variable and is it a fixed 3% over that term? Or is that just a way of writing it that is new to me? Does that make sense? I thought
It's a good
CPI was
question.
variable.
It
Yeah,
is.
that's all.
Is it a maximum or doing?
It's variable, and we
Yeah.
would seek advice from finance when we came to do the rent review as to how that would work, how that's calculated.
My suggestion would be with recommendation 1, you just say with rent subject to CPI increase.
Yeah,
You take out the 3%.
3%.
3% would be greater at the moment, wouldn't it? Wouldn't we be going to 3% at the moment?
It'd be, CPI at the moment is higher than 3%.
Yeah,
Is it? Okay.
It's about 3.5 at the moment.
Okay. All right. Are we happy with that?
So we want to remove
3%.
subject to an annual CPI increase rather than 3%. Please.
Yep. Okay, all in favour of that recommendation?
Yep.
Okay, thank you, carried. We're now at item 8.12. This is a development application for number 55-26-DA-D3. In light of it being a development application, we're going to ask the Director of Community and Development to present to the council in the first instance. Then we will provide an opportunity for councillors to pose questions without debate to the Director of Community Development on the development application. Then we'll move to a motion if someone puts one forward and debate following that. Does anyone have any questions about that process? All right, we'll hand over to Andrew, the Director of Community and Development.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take you a little bit through the proposal, but I'll also take you a little bit about the background. So historically, this site was rezoned for a planning proposal, which altered the zoning from R5 to basically a commercial industrial zone. And they did that on the purpose that they were then going to apply for a DA, which is what we're now considering. So this development application originally came in with 3 grain bunkers with a capacity of 42,000 tonnes. Council went through the process, ensured that we had sufficient information and then gave notice to the concerned or abutting residents. And we did that through letters and a newspaper. Council received 3 submissions and officers, when looking at this application, have inserted a response that's not required under the Act, but it's something we do as a council where we have a consultation meeting. So the purpose of the consultation meeting is to bring together the objectors and the applicant, for them to understand each other's positions, but also to see if there's any form of resolution. At that consultation meeting, all the concerns were discussed and the applicant agreed that they would relocate the bunkers further away from the residential properties and they would do landscaping, look at amenity in regards to dust and management of the site as well. They then provided an amended plan which we circulated to the submitters. The concern then was, though, that the application originally was 3 bunkers. They then provided 5 bunkers, but did address the location. On the basis of considering the original submissions, the amended plans and the discussions at the consultation meeting, the officer's recommendation to you today is for what's called a deferred commencement. A deferred commencement means that if council agrees, you're issuing consent for the DA, but they're not allowed to do any works until that information's provided to the satisfaction of council. And the information requested there is to reduce it back to 3 bunkers, keep it in the revised location, but also provide a landscape plan and a management plan about how they're going to maintain all of the site. So council's taken this opportunity to potentially look at the overall site and how it's managed as well, but also recommending that the revised location and these conditions would address the concerns that were expressed through the written submissions that council's received.
Thank you. So do we have questions? Councillor Payne?
Thanks. If council consider that approving a materially changed proposal without re-exhibition does it comply with procedural fairness principles and exhibition compliance issues?
It does, and in fact, we would say we've gone one step further. Without the consultation meeting, council could consider this application with no changes and make the recommended conditions that are suggested here. What we've done in this instance is provided those changes to the affected people that attended the meeting, asked for their responses, and then still made a decision on that basis. But under the Act, council has to consider the written submissions received to the application, which has been done as part of this process.
Further questions?
Yep. The report describes the site as vacant land, yet also states it contains a dwelling and a dam, which description is correct, and it doesn't make a impact on any planning or decisions.
The vacant land is in reference to where the actual proposal's to be located, but the actual description of the site then explains other things that are on it but aren't affected by the proposal.
Okay, thank you. Why does the comparison table list two different hectare sizes for the same square meterage area?
Could you refer to which page?
Yeah.
And I would say, without referring to the page, that's probably, unfortunately, an
Page
error.
8.
That'd be just an error by the officer.
Okay. How was the traffic impact, how is traffic impact assessed when truck frequency is listed as unknown? And being that Strathvale Road has already heavy rated trucks usage, and so does the site, does that not impact with the trucks entering the site as it is?
It would have an impact, but when we look at development applications, we have to consider where the permit triggers are of what they're applying for. In this instance, there isn't a trigger in relation to the use of the site. There are triggers in relation to the buildings and works. Now, it doesn't mean then that those buildings and works might not result in additional traffic movement, but in regards to assessing the application, we need to understand that they still undertake storage on the site. This is actually now storage within proposed bunkers, and we said on that basis that we don't think that there's a mitigating or variation in difference in regards to the volume of road or truck movements on that road network.
Okay.
Any others?
Yeah, probably. Does anyone have anything else?
We'll go to someone else. Councillor Hannon, you had a question?
My question's pretty simple. Do we offer support to those that are putting in a complaint through the portal that don't have any or haven't had any experience using the portal? Because I understand that under the Act, you know, that's a process to follow through. But at the end of the day, we do live in a small community, and not everybody's obviously interacting with this as much as what officers and people in bigger regional and cities would be.
That is true. We do have officers that assist, in fact, officers that even help upload information onto the portal. In relation to submissions that were received, some of the submissions weren't received through the portal, so we actually uploaded that information into the portal to ensure it was compliant. So we've provided that as part of the service.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis?
With what you've just discussed in the report about the difference of the number of bunkers, is that reflected, and what you've also mentioned in the changes of what will be subject to the DA, is that actually reflected in the recommendations?
So under the deferred commencement condition 1A, we've set a site plan showing 3 bunkers in the southernmost bunker setback, and then we've referenced the tonnage, and we've done that deliberately to link back to the same sort of tonnage that they originally applied for. Be mindful, deferred commencement's an unusual term. but it's basically saying that council would agree on the basis that you provide the information. It still requires council officers to go through all the information, ensure that it meets the conditions. If it doesn't, council don't endorse the plans, and that means they still can't commence. So there might be some backwards and forwards before you get all the information, recognising that the conditions to council's satisfaction. So we hold them to the high regard to ensure that we are meeting the conditions before we would approve them.
So is deferred, what's the difference between deferred and then having to resubmit the DA again? Like, understanding that this council may well make the decision on this process, but yet the deferred mightn't come in till another council comes in, as in the increase from 3 bunkers to 5 bunkers.
So the deferred commencement basically is showing council's intent to agree to the proposal subject to the conditions. Council could choose to refuse an application, which would mean that they would need to restart it, or council as a collective could choose to defer their decision based on other information being required. The deferred commencement is New South Wales' process of basically sort of saying the applicant and everybody understands that council's permitted it, but you'd basically need more information. Does that answer the question?
And just with some of the amendments to the development application, as in screening off the property and places like that, at what point do they need to clarify that? Because if I don't understand what that is, then I don't know that the complainants would understand either.
In regards to the landscaping?
Yes.
Yep, so we'd ask for a proper landscape plan. The landscape plan would come in regards to the actual species, the number of species and the height at time of planting, but also the height at maturity. We would then make sure that it meets that 5 metre wide buffer, recognising that the officer assessing the plans was involved in the discussion and the DA and understands what the concerns would be. We're not going to sign off on a plan that basically puts in dwarf trees that doesn't satisfy the intent. The intent is to make a visual screen through landscaping.
Yeah, I appreciate that sentiment, but we're making a decision and having...
We need to stick to questions.
Sorry, I'm saying that, so there will be a question in it. So when making a decision and then having confidence in the decision that we make, I would suggest that we would need that information, and can we have that information provided before we make the decision?
If you would like to do that, you'd need to alter the recommendation and you'd need to actually defer your decision. The other way you can do it is you can change the condition, but I'd like to highlight these conditions are well thought of, and the officer relevant would be making the decision with advice from others within council.
Thank you. Just before we go to further questions, I did put 2 questions for our register under 3.32 of the Code of Meeting Practice yesterday. There has not been an opportunity to publish the responses to those, and because of that, there's an obligation on the CEO to read the answers publicly. That may resolve some of the questions that others might have. So could I ask the CEO to do that for us, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I provided a response, just for the record, provided these back to the Mayor, councillors and the Director of Planning and the Governance team at 4:52 yesterday afternoon. First question was, can council defer its consideration of this DA until the amended plans as described in the deferred commencement condition proposed by staff on page 26 of the DA report has been lodged and assessed? The response: the deferred commencement is a condition of approving the DA. The condition requires plans to be submitted and approved before they can commence works. Council still has to approve the DA to allow the condition to be implemented. Accordingly, this condition only applies if council approves the DA as proposed in the agenda. Question 2. What, if any, risks or repercussions would be associated with such a deferral? Response: council could defer their decision, that is, not make a decision to approve or refuse. If no decision is made, we are well outside the state timeframe which is reported to the Minister, and, as discussed, this would impact our planning approval numbers. Council could allow officers to make a decision under delegation if time was an issue for councillors. In short, there are no major perceived repercussions for an overall deferral of this item. I would add that if council is considering to defer the item, there should be a reason noted in the resolution for council's decision to defer their consideration of the matter. Excuse
Thank
me.
you, CEO. Councillor Dennis, you had a question.
That has just been answered. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Councillor Natakawa.
Just noting that in the DA, it refers to just grain bunkers, but in the consultation meeting, it was talking about fertiliser. Does that have an impact on the DA, what they actually store in those bunkers?
No, it doesn't. For the purposes of this, we're considering the works that allow the actual construction of the bunkers, as long as they're storing agricultural or other type of products within them, then that would satisfy the as-of-use right associated with that land.
Yeah, and being an E4 zoning, there can't be any hazardous material, am I correct?
Yes and no. So it depends on the classification, but it also can depend on the way it's stored and the distance of separation.
Okay.
Based on what they've proposed, they wouldn't be able to store hazardous material because of their setbacks.
Yep, okay. The 42 tonne, so we are looking to approve 3 bunkers, not the 5 that came in the further plan.
That's the recommendation in the report,
sorry,
yes.
yeah.
Yep.
And then it's noted on page 36 that officers have not received any further correspondence, but obviously we as councillors have received several emails back and forth. That's all been taken into consideration?
So there's a timing issue, obviously, of when the report's
Yep.
created.
Yep.
That report's then obviously made available to the public, and the public, they may then comment further.
Yep.
That information has been provided now to officers, and it wouldn't change the recommendation.
Yep. Thank you.
Councillor Stringer.
There it is. Just a simple one. The 3, let's just call them objectors, does their land directly abut McNaught's land?
It does, so there's a map on page,
I haven't got it here in front of me. It was just a question that,
there's a map on page 6 which defines where the submissions are and where the notice was provided, but they do abut.
okay.
The closest abutting resident has sent an email to council to say that they have no objection to the revised plan.
Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Brooker.
I just have a quick question. In our agenda, it states that the owner is McNaught's Grain and Fertiliser, but in the report, it notes that the owner is DJS Proprietary Limited, but the same applicant.
I'd have to go back in regards to that, but we just look at, to be honest, the applicant. They're the ones that have made the DA, and the DA then is issued to the land for all intents and purposes through a development application. It will sound stupid, but we don't care about who the owner is. The reason being is I could make a development application on your land, subject to having your consent.
We still want to issue it to the right party, though.
The DA is issued to the land.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, all right. So we have a recommendation. Does anyone wish to move that or an alternative?
I have an alternative. That council defer its decision on this DA because it does not consider that it has sufficient detail before it from the applicant relating to the matters detailed below. In particular, council defers the decision until the following has been satisfied and amended plans have been submitted showing the following. A site plan showing 3 storage bunkers with the southernmost bunker set back 113.28 minimum from the southern site boundary with a total capacity of 70,000 tonnes. Deletion of the conceptual future shed. C, landscaping plan provided details for planting in the 5 metre wide landscaping buffer along the southern and eastern site boundaries, including but not limited to A, plant species, size at planting and maturity and density, B, planting layout, C, implementation timing, and D, ongoing maintenance measures to ensure establishment and growth of vegetation. D, a dust and outdoor mitigation plan to demonstrate compliance with the requirements of the Protection of the Environment Operations Act 1997 and providing details to minimise the generation of dust and off-site mitigation of dust and odour on the whole of McNaughton's Berrigan Grain Storage Facility. This includes, but is not limited to, A, grain handling, B, storage, C, vehicle movement and frequency, and D, process during adverse weather conditions, high winds and harvest.
That's a lot.
If I may, you might want to seek clarity on this, but I don't think you can make that request. This is a development application that has to be assessed under the provisions of the Act. Information that's requested has to be part of the process. Now, council can defer its decision until the information is provided to satisfy what's suggested within the condition, but council can't dictate the information required unless it's specified under the provisions of the Act. So we just need to be careful how we phrase that.
My concern is the documents contain procedural concerns, factual inconsistencies, number errors, and missing operational
We'll let
data.
you speak to it in a second, so I think maybe, how about we get that on the screen?
Can we,
I just did. We'll get that on the screen, we'll get a seconder if we can get one.
can I just
Yeah.
make a comment? Councillors, we will get this up on the screen because I think it's important. I would ask if in future, if you do have alternates like this, can you just provide them to the governance team before the meeting? It does help our efficiency in the meeting because we can cut and paste it and have it ready to go up. For that, it would be, that would assist us. It doesn't need to come to me, it can go straight to Shanley and then it's ready to go if you indeed you get the chance to put it up.
Can I just make an adjustment to that from the capacity of 70,000 down to the 42 for the 3 bunkers? Because the 70,000 tonne was for the 5 bunkers and we're looking at the 42.
Okay, we still need to second it.
Yeah, that's right, was just...
But we need to, so we can't. So we want a motion. Well, you want a motion?
I would like a motion.
That defers the decision until
Could I suggest that you defer the decision until information is provided which satisfies concerns relating to ... The specific information you've included there would go above and beyond what's required under the provisions of the Act. However, if you say that they're to address concerns relating to amenity, landscaping, those are sufficient, but to specify what you're requesting in that way, I don't think can be done under the Act.
Just a note, Chair, that 70 didn't change.
no, we know because we haven't got a seconder. So we deferred the decision until the information provided is related to. We want a precise site plan.
You could say that.
So site plan, landscaping plan,
The factual inconsistencies corrected.
go to committee. Do you want for us to go into committee? So we can,
I'd like to move that we go into committee
so that we can
so that we can
resolve the wording.
resolve wording.
Okay, do we have a second? Councillor Natakawa, all in favour of going into committee to resolve the wording of a proposed motion? Okay, thank you. Carried. Thank you. We're now back out of committee, and I will ask the CEO to report the outcome of that.
Thank you, Mayor. Council moved into committee to enable an ultimate resolution to be drafted for consideration by council in relation to this matter.
Thank you, CEO. And the mover is Councillor Payne. Would you like to outline your proposed resolution?
Mike.
That council defer its decision on this DA 55-26-DA-D3 because it does not consider that it has sufficient detail before it from the applicant. In particular, council defers the decision until the information requested is in deferred commencement. Condition 1 on page 26 of the officer report is provided and assessed, and further revised report to come back to council. Council officers inform submitters of council's resolved position in writing.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Payne. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Stringer. Councillor Payne, would you like to talk to your motion?
I'd like to defer the commencement condition because I don't think we have sufficient information in regard to the site plan, landscaping, dust and odour mitigation plan, and the grade storage bunkers capacities, vermin controls and things like this that are detailed in the report.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Would someone like to speak against this proposed motion? Would anyone else like to speak in favour of it? Councillor Natakawa.
I just agree that there's just been a lot of moving parts, but it hasn't all come together to us at the same time. And it's hard for us to make a decision when we're hearing from the community and then the information that's coming from the applicant isn't aligning through the conversations that have been had at the consultation meeting and things like that. So I agree, we just need some more time to get things lined up properly to make sure that the community is taken care of, as well as the progress for the applicant to move forward with their expansion.
Thank you, Councillor Natakawa. Anyone else like to speak? Okay, well, we'll put that to the vote, and we have a division because it is a matter relating to planning, so hold your hands up high. All in favour of the motion that we have on the screen there? Thank you, that's unanimous. All right, we will now move to item 9.1.
I'll go get Councillor. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Which is a question with notice from myself. Under the Code of Meeting Practice, these need to be provided in advance in writing. It is required that we receive a written report. We didn't on this occasion, but that's fine. The question is that Council adopted a program of service reviews in 2025. A revision to that program was adopted later in the year. The service reviews were a commitment made to the Berrigan Shire community during the 24-25 budget process in response to concerns about Council's long-term financial position. Could the CEO please provide an update on progress with these service reviews? CEO? Okay, sorry, Director, Community and Development.
Thank you, Mayor. For your information, we'll be coming back to council to amend the delivery program, which is a 4-year program from 2025 to 2029, because that's what identifies the service reviews that are going to be undertaken. Due to council being in a better financial position than what was first indicated, council or officers would like to come to suggest that some of these service reviews be pushed back. We'll still be undertaking them as part of our overall program, but ultimately we might be trying to achieve 4 or 5. The reason we've done this is that we're not resourced to undertake them, and we'd like to ensure that managers undertake their own service reviews because we think that has the biggest impact. put those service views to council for them to make decisions.
Thank you. Item 9.2 is another question with notice from myself. Charges have been recently belayed for alleged fraud and corruption involving the authorisation and approval of fraudulent invoices for contractors in Goulburn, Shoalhaven and Murrumbidgee between 2012 and 2024. Without discussing the details of this active case, can the CEO please advise Council on what processes, policies and systems are currently in place to ensure that conduct similar to the alleged conduct cannot occur in Berrigan Shire Council? Can the CEO also please advise how Council can be assured that this has not happened in the past? In relation to retrospective activity, i.e. what has happened in the past, would the CEO consider discussing the matter with the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee as a potential audit activity in the coming financial year? CEO?
I'll respond broadly to you first, and then the Director of Corporate Services will talk to you about specifics.
Yep.
We have a fraud control policy in place. We have also done fraud risk assessments, and those risk assessments sit on Council's risk register. We have also discussed fraud as an agenda item regularly with ARIC. So like our fraud control policy will go to ARIC for review as well as review of the risk register. We have identified procurement as an audit activity, so the first internal audit that we will be conducting, and that hopefully will be conducted prior to June. So specifics around that will look at the controls we have in place, as well as the risks that we have identified, and they will be identifying gaps. The idea of the audit too is to look at our newly developed procurement manual and our procedures, and from there identify gaps, particularly with the new system that we have in place. And we expect that there will be gaps. As to, and like Talia can talk to you further about the specific controls that they've got, as to previous incidents, we're not aware of any. And keep in mind too that external audit will look at invoices and how that the system that we have in place, as well as what we expect the internal audit to look at.
Okay. Thank you. Director Corporate Services.
Through you, Mayor. So on some of the procedures that we have in place to prevent fraud is we have a program called EFT Sure. So what that does is when we bring a new contractor on board, it runs all of their details through their system. That includes ABN, bank details, and confirms that it all lines up. It flags any issues with us internally so that we can be aware of them. So if someone was to, in terms of invoice approval, so the process that happens in council is you create a work order, which would have an approved budget assigned to it. You then have to create a purchase order to go out to the contractor or supplier to purchase goods. That is approved by their manager. For example, mine would be approved by the CEO. And then from there, once that invoice comes in, email is sent out to a link in our accounting system for the officer to confirm they've received the goods, whether that be physical goods or services. Once that's done, then the invoice gets put in the system for payment, and the system will flag if there's any inconsistencies in the invoice. So whether the bank details have changed, the ABN has changed. If the amount doesn't match what was on the original purchase order, it'll flag that, and then the officer that purchased the goods will have to confirm. From there, the invoice then gets paid, which has two-step approval. So there's two officers, which are all part of the executive team, or at a manager level, that then approve those invoices for payment. So we have pretty strict controls around the payment of invoices. In part of the question was, can we confirm that it won't happen? I don't think anyone's able to confirm that. We do everything that we can to prevent it, but we can't guarantee that it's not going to happen. What was I going to say? Yeah, so we recently implemented a new procurement manual as well, so that will obviously get tested when we do the internal audit, and then any gaps identified, then we work to fulfil them. An external audit every year, they, on average, will audit 3 to 4 full payment cycles which we do one a fortnight. So there's 26 and they audit about 4 of them when they make us supply invoices, purchase orders, everything from go to woe of how we completed that payment run. And that happens every year,
So they do a sample every year.
every single year.
And for a smaller organisation like that, that's probably significant and not so significant for some of the other
I'd say they probably have
ones that were involved.
they may have a higher sampling based on amount of invoices paid. I'm not sure.
Yep.
But yeah, they do 3 to 4 nearly every year, and that's including creditors plus payroll.
Okay.
So all of our payments.
Excellent. Thank you for your very thorough comments that provide some comfort. Next, we need to move into closed council. So could I have someone to move us into closed? Councillor Ngarikoa, Councillor Payne, all in favour moving into closed council. Thank you. Thank you. We're returning from closed council. The matter we discussed was commercial in confidence, so we won't at this time disclose the details. We're up to item 11, which are motions without notice. They are no longer applicable under our new code of meeting practice. So we'll move to councillor reports, and in particular, my report being the Mayor's report. Firstly, I'd like to thank Andrew Fletcher for being our acting CEO while our interim CEO, Mark Dupay, was recently on leave. Thank you for keeping the seat warm. In terms of what I've been up to, 22nd of January, we had a meeting online with NBN talking about the current and future plans and the availability of fibre to the home. It is actually available to more homes than people might know, so worth inquiring. 26th of January, we had Australia Day in Barooga. Thanks very much to Councillor Natikoa, who hosted, and a tremendous thank you to all of the staff, both prior to and on the day, for putting together the event. I've received a lot of comments from the community, both people I know and people I don't know, who were impressed with the event that we put on, which was very good. So please, could we minute that? Thank you, please. 27th of January, I attended the consultation on the Berrigan DA we discussed today. 29th of January, I attended and spoke at the golf stakeholders lunch in Barooga, Cobram Barooga Golf Club. 30 January, I had a meeting regarding CEO recruitment. 1st of February, I attended the WebEx TPS Murray final and gave the trophy to the All Abilities and to the junior champion. She was 13 years of age. Amazing. 4th of February, we had a council workshop. 6th of February, CEO recruitment meeting. 10th of February, attended training on our new Resolve system, which I know we're all looking forward to for next month. Which is how councillors access their meeting agenda. 12th February, CEO recruitment meeting. 13th of February, caught up with the CEO. On the 13th of February, I attended an online Murray-Darling Basin Plan consultation information session, and not much info I hadn't heard 10 times before. Anyway, 14th of February, I attended with my husband, who was invited to a vice-regal reception at the Corriwood Chocolate Factory. It was the governors of both Victoria and New South Wales coming together, and there were two purposes. Firstly was the end of the 50th anniversary of the Australian Honours System. So there were 61 OAM and above recipients and their partners at this event. And it was also to mark the 20th anniversary of the Black Allen line, I'm going to call it. I could have got that wrong, which is, if you know, of course, Victoria and New South Wales are separated by the Murray River, but there is part of the geography which does not include the river. There's a line, and that line was agreed 20 years ago. Who knew? So it was also about the celebration of that. It was a lovely event with people from both sides of the border, but it was extraordinarily hot in there. Anyway. And finally, I'm here today for our council meeting. Would someone like to move receiving my report? Councillor Natikoa, seconded Councillor Payne. All in favour? Thank you, carried. We'll move to council reports. Deputy Mayor, would you like to go first?
27th of January, I attended the DA consultation meeting. The 10th of February, the Resolve training, and then today's meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Natikoa.
On the 26th of Jan, I was the MC for the Australia Day, which surprisingly I actually quite enjoyed that. I was not expecting to enjoy that as much as I did, but it was actually quite nice. So thoroughly enjoyed that, and again, congratulations to all the winners and nominees for those awards. 27th of January, I attended the DA consultation meeting. 4th of Feb, we had the development session, and then today's council meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Natikoa. Councillor Dennis.
Just attended what was council business through the month.
Thank you. Councillor Hannan.
Yeah, just the workshop and the Resolve training.
Thank you. Councillor Stringer.
Just the Resolve training.
Excellent. Councillor Healy.
The council workshop, Resolve training, and also a Finley Showgrounds committee meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Brooker.
So, yeah, the development session, the advancement. Yeah, development session on the 4th of February, the Baroog Advancement Group on the 10th of February, the Resolve training on the 11th, Murray Regional Strategy Group's MDBA discussion in regards to their submission for the plan on the 13th of February, and today's council meeting.
Excellent, thank you. I've covered everyone, haven't I? Yes. All right, so that concludes our meeting today. Our next ordinary council meeting will be held on Wednesday, 18th of March at 4:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. There being no further business, I close the meeting at 10:16 a.m. Thanks, everyone.